If you want to learn a new programming language, test-driven development is actually not a bad way to start, as long as you get a little help from others. Hey, I'm John Reed with QualityCoding.org, where I focus on unit testing and test-driven development, mainly for iOS developers and mainly in the Swift programming language. So today, doing something very different, I'm learning Kotlin. And this is also my first Twitch stream. So what you're about to see is a recording of a live stream. Now, I don't expect anyone to watch the whole thing, but it's kind of interesting because you get to see me stumble through and make mistakes, and I get help from a couple of people. I didn't expect anybody to actually show up for my first ever live stream announced with 5-minute warning. So I was very pleased to have a couple people jump in and help me out and guide me on some of the nuances and idioms of the Kotlin language. I have tried to break this out instead of being one big, long 2-hour stream. I've tried to break it into the chapters to show my progress through the project. So feel free to watch at high speed or scrub through it, whatever you want to do. Jump around. Now, I had so much fun with this Twitch stream that I don't think it's going to be my last. So subscribe to my channel so that you'll know when I'm going live the next time with whatever I do. At some point, I'd like to do, for example, a Q&A session where I answer the chats and just talk about stuff. All right? Okay, here we go. On to the stream. All righty. Here we are. Twitch. I feel like a kid. Like, I'm getting cool, like what the kids are doing. So nobody's watching, and that's fine because I'm here to learn and I'm recording so that I can learn from myself. Some background of what I want to do today. You go to, wow, my big face. And here we go. So I have this week off. Well, not off from work. My company has given me a week to learn something new, which is a great perk for all the engineers there. So I'm going to learn Kotlin. I spent yesterday sort of setting up the environment, doing a little bit. I did FizzBuzz. Woo! No, seriously, it was exciting because, getting all the stuff configured, selecting the runtime and all this stuff that I don't know how to do was a good exercise for me. And now so I did FizzBuzz, and then I did my FizzBuzz Bang refactoring exercise. So I've written a few lines of Kotlin. That is all I have done. It is time to go straight into it. So this is the, where is it? What I'm going to do is a version of the name normalizer exercise, which is a wonderful little TDD Paint-by-Numbers thing made by Jeff Langer. And the idea is that writing tests is kind of hard when you get started, so all the tests are written for you. You just have to turn them on one by one and do the rest of the hard part, which is evolutionary design. Let's get started. And if anyone should happen to come along, please say hi in the chat room. I'd love to know you're there. All right, so here we are. I'm in IntelliJ, which, by the way, I gotta say, the support, the tooling support that Kotlin has is ridiculous. my exposure to JetBrains products has been, I've done a little bit of Java, not in real life, just to teach, just to basically get people doing some basic exercises. And I use AppCode, which is really pretty powerful for Objective-C. Swift, it's still got some work to do to, I think, to really get all the bells and whistles. It's probably usable for you, and you should use it, but it doesn't have all the crazy refactoring that Kotlin has. Nothing does, because here we have a tool maker that made their own language, so naturally they made tooling, the ability to refactor it, a first-class citizen of the language. Amazing. Apple, go spend a week, even spend a day learning, playing with IntelliJ, playing with Kotlin. That's what I did yesterday, and I was blown away. Like all the intentions that IntelliJ showed helped me learn some at Kotlin even before I knew what I was really doing. So here we have the name normalizer. The object of this exercise is to take a string that's like some sort of name and to turn it into a normalized form that you might see in a library card catalog or a bibliography or something like that. And right now, it's got a bunch of tests. Bunch of tests. If I run them, you'll see that there are 9 ignored tests, so they're all turned off. The first thing I want to point out is that, look at these test names. I mean, I'm so used to writing test, blah, 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 in some mutant camel case, snake case combination. And gosh, instead we have an annotation. I'm using JUnit 4. We have an annotation at test that says the next function is a test, which means it doesn't have to start with test, which sounds trivial. I've dismissed it in the past as kind of a syntactic nicety. Except look at this. Once you add the backticks to support spaces, you can just describe what it is you're testing. Look at this list down here of our test cases that shows you everything that it's going to test once we're done. This would be totally low-hanging fruit for Xcode and Swift, you'd think. Come on, Apple. Don't chase me away. Make your tooling better. Everyone will thank you. Let's see. Oh, here's something I learned. A lot of people, well, first thing I learned is that teardown. Since Kotlin is Java runtime engine underneath, and so it's all garbage collected, there's really not much point in teardown for the most part. Not unless you really need to like dismantle stuff or set something back to prevent test bleed. But for the most part, you create your thing and you forget about it and trust that the garbage collector will do its thing. But, folks, setup is still necessary. And the reason I say that is that, and I've seen tests, Java tests, where it's kind of like, let's do, let's see, val. That's a value, right? This is constant. I kind of wish val and var differed by more than the last character. Anyway, val, so I'll say other normalizer. This is how a lot of people write tests. The problem is JUnit still follows the same conventions that it always has, which is that it instantiates the full tree of all tests before running any. And this means we're going to have, 9 different instances of author name normalizer tests, each pointing to a different test. Right now, there are no instances, I presume, since they're all ignored. So each instance will point to whichever test it's actually going to run. And so it's going to create 9 different versions of this before any tests are run, which is a problem if you want to actually test the creation of the thing as well and not bog down your system and basically kill all your memory. Instead, don't do that. Use a var, use late init, a late initializer. So this is like in Swift, the bang at the end, the implicitly unwrapped optional, saying this thing will be there because we're going to do it. And here's where we do it. By doing this, the initializer is called once at the beginning of each test, and then garbage collection, do your thing. In fact, let's prove this for a second. Let's just make an empty test. Okay, so this should be a passing test. Doop, doop, doop. There it goes. There's our green. I'm going to turn off all the other ones. And let's add just a little initializer here. So we can see. And run the tests again. And inside the test, this is inside the test case, we have the initializer. If we do it the other way, let me comment this out and save this. If I do it this way, now, all right, so now I'm doing it the way most people would, which is just to stick it in a property. And let's see what happens. The initializer is not part of the test. It is part of the whole, probably the whole test run in there. So it's part, it happens, of course, but it's not in the context of the running test. It's before it. That no good. No good. Go back. So there we have it. Java folks, Kotlin folks, set up or at before, or whatever you use for your testing still matters. All right, let's go back to the matter at hand. Boom, boom. We want to get back to where we were. All right, let's do this. You know, the first thing I should do is create a branch. That way I can, this is an important thing for TDD, is the ability to revert. I mean, that's one of the biggest ideas, is to move in small steps so that at any point, if something goes wrong, you go back. Kent Beck has now gone past TDD into TCR, test, commit, or revert. And he moves in even smaller steps. We can learn from that, even without doing TCR. We can move in super, super, super small steps. So let's turn this test on. Here we go. Unlike TCR, we're going to see this test fail. And it fails because this is not implemented. Here we go. Now, and again, unlike TCR, I don't want it to pass right away. I'm going to say return bogus so that I can see the test fail and know that it's running. Expected empty string, but was bogus. Yes. The quickest way to get this to pass is to return empty string. Yes. Well, hey-o, userman2. Welcome. So I'm just started TDDing this, using this TDD Paint-by-Numbers exercise. And I've just turned on my first test and gotten it to pass, so I should commit. And let's see. Test 1 passes. Here we go. All right. And userman2, I don't know if I know you. It's hard to tell with a name like that. But feel free to jump in with any questions, because I've got the chat on the side here. All right. Now, so does author name normalizer work? Well, it does for a very limited set of names, empty. But it's I don't what? You'll get there. If you finish your thought, I am watching what you're typing. Okay, so let's see. Here we go. Let's enable the second test. And the second test, that it returns a single word name, fails with Play-Doh. Play-Doh is the input. It expects Play-Doh is the output. The quickest thing to get to green is that. Ta-da! Let's commit that. Coolio. It's a good thing I use AppCode, because all the shortcuts and stuff, I'm very familiar with how IntelliJ works. I mean, what the layout is and all that stuff. Okay. So far, by the way, I can do... Okay, yeah, this is a good question. So that's a very good question, a very good point. Because right now, I believe it can suggest this for me. This is one of the greatest things about IntelliJ, is all the intentions. I can say this, and probably even less. Like I can probably remove that, and it will probably still work. Woo! It sure does. It's frightening, actually. It really, really puts Swift tooling to shame. And I mean, even AppCode, which I use for Swift development, JetBrains is having to play with adding tooling on top of a language that they basically don't get to peer into. They're just calling Xcode build to do the building, and they're having to build up their own parser, and who knows all the craziness they have to do. So I love how seamless this is. But I think it's probably premature. You know what? It may not be premature. Let's see what this does. Right? We've done some refactoring. It passes. I'm going to commit it. All right. Great idea. Super terse. Now, here we go. Let's get to the next test, the first challenging one. That it should swap first and last names. Haruki Murakami should become Murakami, Haruki. I don't know who that is anyway. I should look that up. So this fails. And now I'm kind of stuck. It's like, well, can I add this back? As I can, just like that. Ah, so cool. So now I'm going to start entering Kotlin world that I don't really know. So userman, help me out. If I take name and I slice, split, can move that normalize function to a global scope, make it a string extension. Oh, that's cool. See, I didn't know Kotlin had extensions. Very nice. I'll have to play with that. I'm going to assume that split does a thing. So I'm going to split on spaces. All right. Thanks for joining me. And let's extract this into a variable called split name. Now, since I'm new to this world, would help me to see the type. In fact, I wonder if there's a ghost type thing. There is for Swift. Let's see if there are type hints. I am looking to see, does IntelliJ show hints for types? Name hints. I don't know. Well, so without knowing without having the hinting, at least I can do this. I can say, give me that explicit type, and I can see, okay, it's a list of string. I'm assuming this is like some sort of parameterized thing. In fact, let me dig in. Generic collection. Cool. This is very, very familiar coming from Swiftland. Yeah, so it's a list over a certain type. So a list of over strings. So I should be able to say if, and here I remember from yesterday, I need parentheses. Actually, I can just probably go like this. Ah, that's better. If split name count. So I want to say if there's only one thing, if there's maybe like that. What I want to preserve the behavior of Plato, an empty name, before I get into the rest. So I wonder if I can say this sort of as to see if the same test fails in a different way. It does, but the other tests pass. So this gives me confidence that I'm moving in the right direction. So now I should be able to say split name. Is there a last? There is a last. Plus let's see if this works. Ta-da! So exciting. I'm coding in a new language. Convert member to extension. Oh man, look at that. Okay, before I try anything, I'm going to commit. Let's follow the same pattern there. All right, so now, yeah, I want to see on the refactoring side of things, what sorts of things pop up? Convert concatenation to raw string. Oh, I see. Kind of interesting. What else does it have? Are you cool with code links in here? Yeah, you should be able to post something that's not inappropriate since I have zero filtering in here. And I am planning to share this recording, just so you know. Kotlin adds var or var thing to inject stuff into. Oh, so yeah, this is string interpolation, right? So I should be able to go. I mean, if I sort of go back, I can say I can't say split name because I need to return a string. Why isn't it? Wonder why it's not letting me do that. What am I doing wrong? Because here it did suggest, yeah, it did say convert to raw string. So there, I get triple quotes. I don't know if it needs the triple quotes, but here we get dollar brace, which looks pretty swifty. By the way, Userman, are you a Swift coder as well? So that's what I'm familiar with these days. Can I do this? I can. So the triple quotes must be insurance to allow like the ability to, I'm going to guess, stick a random double quote in the middle. I want to see this fail. Yeah, there it's escaped. Very cool. So I suppose using string interpolation is more Kotlin-y than doing plus to append things. Don't know. What else? What other intentions do we have? Convert template to concatenated string. Inject ordinary string literal. Oh. Look at that. Simplified it further. I'm going to keep this one. Alrighty. What else can I do? Not knowing. I'm going to start from the outside because there are too many intentions. Make private. Huh. Create test. That's cool. I already have my tests. Make internal. About here. Create test. Dang, that is cool. Is there anything on function? Yep. Various things. I assume it's internal by default. Let's see. Private, internal, public. Thank you for stopping by. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your help, your tips. Public is default? Okay, I'll have to follow up on this. But thanks. See ya. Have a good day. Woo. Oh. Okay. Okay. You gotta like do real things. All right. Thank you. Things besides watching me blather on. So declarations marked with private are visible inside. Yeah. Protected are visible inside that, and subclasses. Yep. Internal everywhere in the module. Yep. Public are visible to everyone, and public is the default. So that's different from Swift then, where everything is internal by default. All right. If I make this anything else, will the tests be able to see it? Like, here's a question. Can I test? No, apparently not. If I change it to private, it says, yeah, I can't do that. Make it public. Huh. If I change it to internal, internal still works for testing. If I change it to public, of course, and public is basically gone. Because it's the default, you don't have to say it, and it looks like it's showing it as a ghost saying it's redundant. Cool. Sweet. All right. I don't think I have any changes. I'm going to move on to the next test. Leading and trailing white space. Big boy. All right. So for this, I need to do some sort of trimming. Where to do the trim? I say name. First, let's see if there is trim. Oh, there's a straight up trim. Look at that. So if I put that here, will that work? It passes. I'm coding. This is test 4. All right. Next test. Initialize a middle name. Oh, initialize. So used to thinking of it in terms of, initializing in programmer speak. Initializing meaning constructing something. No, initializing meaning it turns it into an initial. D period. Let's watch it fail. There we go. Thoreau Henry D. Looks like I got lucky by specifying first, last, and first rather than split name this, the second argument and argument 1, I suppose, index 1 and index 0, because it actually picked up the last name Thoreau, first name Henry. All right, let's pull this into middle name. How to do this? I'm going to say if the count is greater than 2, then we want to get some sort of middle name in play. Let's see if I can. Is this, yeah. Whoop, can't do that. Change to var. Beautiful. So I can say the middle name by default is empty. If the split name count is greater than 2, then we'll get the middle name, and then I should be able to say I'm just going to start jamming code in. It's going to be ugly. Because this is a cool thing about TDDs. It can be ugly. It can be completely ugly, and then you can help me refactor it. Say if middle name. I keep forgetting. If takes parens. Probably an is empty. There we go. I'll say if it's not empty, then middle initial is going to be middle name first. Let's put a space on the middle so I can say will this pass? I do not know. It does pass. Okie dokie. Check that in. Now let's clean it up. This is getting ugly. Ugly, ugly. All right, how shall we clean this up? I like how this comes, and I sort of want to just take the whole thing and return the middle initial. Let's see if this does it. Yeah, extract method does indeed seem to work. Let's run tests. And now I should be able to inline this. All right. So that's some progress, pulling this out. Saying we return last name, comma, space first name, and then middle initial. It's not really middle initial because there's that space in there, but whatever. I'll have to clean this up. Let's see if IntelliJ suggests something. Oh, we don't need braces. Oh, I see. Don't need braces if it's going to be a one-liner. How to clean it. This is one thing we can clean. All right, what you got for me on the gist? Trim to lowercase. Thank you for sharing this. This is like the most Kotlin I've ever seen. Oh, check it out. Look at that. This is cool. So this is part of the sort of more leaning more into functional programming, is that it defines, and there's your extension, right? That's what you're talking about. It defines an extension, if I'm reading this right, on string called normalize, which is simply taking trim, the trim function, and applying the to lowercase function to it as well. And does that take of this? Cool. This is very cool. I have no idea what a companion object is. Kotlin's equivalent of static class members. Oh. Oh, very curious. Lots to learn. I should probably add that to my list of things to keep track of, because I saw the intention, like suggesting that it should say, make a companion object, and I didn't know what that meant. Wow, I'm going to talk myself right out of a voice if I don't keep drinking. Very cool. Thank you. You are helping me learn. Yeah, companions are singletons that live connected to the class that they are in. That makes sense. It makes sense with what you said about the equivalent of static class members. Cool. All right, so we did this. I think I can make this an ordinary string literal to make this cleaner. And I just feel this is super long right here. Several lines. In a way, what I want to say is if middle initial is empty, then return nothing else. I'm not sure what the formatting is normally. Oh, that's fine. Else. All right, first let's try this. I think this is good. I should be able to say return without that and get rid of this variable. Cool, and now there's a suggestion here. This is something I saw yesterday, so I'm not completely shocked. I saw it doing FizzBuzz. But whoa, look at that. If middle name is empty, return empty string. Else, return the other thing. This is a cool thing. I think that reads really well. Much better. And again, helped us eliminate the whole thing. Return. Oh, I see. That's just going back. Cool. Anyway, let me make sure this runs. Say eliminate variable. Wonder if there's anything else we can do. I feel like this if also offers some possibilities. If I say this else, I'm just winging it here. Can I do this? I can do that. So what's it suggest? Huh. Oh, there we go. There's the type hinting. All right. What you got, userman? There's another neat thing you can do with Kotlin's Lambda that receives this. Let's have a look. Drum roll. So if I'm reading this right, main is main. And inside of main is a thing that takes a lambda. Virtual machine.execute takes a lambda. Whoa, what is this? This is really cool looking. Huh. I'll take a look at that. Neat. Yeah, I don't see where the this comes into play because this is completely invisible in this lambda. But I assume it's inside of the virtual machine itself that it's able to take that. So it's a pattern, a builder pattern, or a construction builder. These are the idioms I need to learn. Super cool. Interesting. Thank you again. Much to learn. There we. If I get the type hinting in place, there we go. This is kind of getting a little weird looking. Val middle name equals if the split count is greater than 2. Oh, I bet I can make this a little more natural because they're short. Yes, by doing this. Check it out. And in fact, would it make, let's see how readable this all is. This is looking better. I'll say I want a value of middle name, which is if split name has more stuff, then it's index 1. We're not worrying about multiple middle names yet. Else it's empty string. And I can say if middle name is empty, well, return empty string. Otherwise, space the first character, period. I like it. I shrank down the multiple lines of junk into 2 fairly concise lines. Cool. Let's move on to the next test. Oh yes, Harry S. Truman, where S stands for nothing, because apparently that was his name. S. For this, we need to say it only gets the period if there's more than one character. Essentially, what I want to do is turn this period into a new thing. All right, let me do this with a proper refactoring, get back to green. And I'll say period or initial. I'm trying to think of a better name. But this should pass. Okay. So now I should be able to say if middle name forgetting those extra parens again. It's the new semicolon. If middle name count is greater than 1, let's see if this passes. Hurrah! I think it's good. All right. Next test. Multiple middle names. Here we go. We need to start collecting multiple middle names. To do. It's like I need to do this logic over repeatedly. How do I express this? So it's going to depend on the split name count. Now that I see split name count here in a couple places, well, first I'm going to stay on target. If the split name count, it's like we need a list of everything in the middle. We need to drop the first and the last and therefore get all the middle names from split name. Let's see if we can do this. Can I say drop? Ooh, look at that. Ah, I love this. Code completion is an amazing thing, but it's so fast. Frighteningly fast. I don't know what this returns. I assume it's going to be what I need, but I kind of want to see. Ah, here we go. Yeah, definitely true. OOP and functional are not enemies. And one is not better than the other. You use whatever makes sense. And you mix them. Julia. So this didn't work. What if I drop? Maybe it's like number of items to drop. Let's see if this works. So now I'm just doing some hacking. There we go. There we got the middle names. So if I say this is going to be middle names, and that's a list of string as I expected. Now I should be able to iterate over those. Let me take this test out of play for a second. And say, if there are no middle names, or is empty, cool. Then middle initial is not. This should still work, which should simplify other things. I should be able to say, now I need to iterate over them somehow. I'm just making up notation to see if it works. So what I want to do right now is iterate over the middle names, each one. Something like this. How do I do that? For by adding parens, probably. Oh, I'm a dork. Okay, this is starting to become something. So for each middle name, then I should be able to apply this sort of logic and start to build it up. And this should still pass. If I pull this in, so it's like this is now name. So initial will become again, I'm just typing, making up what I expect the notation to be. So far, it's led me, like I've been wrong very few times. This is remarkable. It shows how similar Kotlin and Swift are so far. Now, when we get to other things like enums, I expect they're rather different. Let's see. So I should be able to take that and return result. Maybe, maybe, maybe. Let's see if this works. It does work. In fact, I should be able to get rid of this because if it's empty, it'll iterate over nothing. Cool. I'm sure there's a cool way to do this without a for loop, but we'll get there. This is getting a little complicated in here. Like the plus equal. I really need a way to pull this out. Let's change this to dot or period. Because now you have to be able to do this. Say, given a name, initialize it. And inline this. This is better. Cool. Oh, I haven't seen if this works on the thing I'm trying to get to, which is multiple middle names. Works on one. Let's see. Haha. Very cool. So now we're getting to a point where we have the main function is saying last name, comma, first name, and then middle initial. It should be middle initials. I'm just going to amend that commit. And where middle initials says get the middle names by dropping the first name and the last name and looping over them. Okay. Here I expect there is some nice way. Actually, I'll be right back. Right back. Now, in Swift, I would normally now take this for loop, which starts from an empty string and accumulates this stuff, and turn it into something nice and functional. And I'm going to guess that there's a nice way to do this in Kotlin as well. Wonder what it's called. Essentially, I want to reduce the middle names. Let's reduce. Ha ha ha. Okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, except that there is something called reduce. That's good. Build string. Get back here. So instead of plus equal, you're saying build string code append. Let's see. Oh, I see. So there's actually a customized thing for building various things. Strings, iterators, sequences. So if I say build string, I'm just trying to see the type here. Okay, so build string returns a string. Yeah, so it's a lambda. Yep. So if I say build string builds a new string by populating string builder using a builder action. Trusting. So where I'm staring right now is I kind of have to turn this loop sort of inside out, right? And I need to stick it in here. Yeah. So if I say something like this, like, will this work? Whoop. Yes. Thank you. Oh, this is exciting. Oh, Kaio. Hey. This is very cool. And this is also meta cool because this is my first ever Twitch stream. And here I am now. We've got um, two of you at least. And Userman has been teaching me how to Kotlinize things, which is nice. So looking at this now, if I say middle initials takes middle names by dropping the first and last name, and then we return build string, where it loops and says, take each thing and append it by initializing it. This looks good. String builder. Very nice. Awesome. So Kaio, what I'm doing is I'm working through this exercise where it's TDD Paint-by-Numbers, and all the tests are written, but I've been turning them on one by one. And the goal is to take a name and turn it into sort of library form. You can see like last name first, remove white spaces, middle name becomes an initial, except when it's not, it's only one letter. I've done multiple middle names, almost there. Here we go, let's add another one. Can I fold the list? That's a question for Userman. Huh. Like this? Where the initial is empty string, and then does this take a closure? Let's have a look. Yeah, take some sort of closure or lambda. So I should be able to say initialize, well, initialize what? This is how I'd write it in Swift, is to say take the argument. Can I do that? No. Let me just jam in something here just to see if I can get this to compile. Okay, it needs to take two functions. I mean, it needs to take arguments, right? It takes a function which has an R. This is getting hard to see. I'm going to make this there. Accumulates value starting with initial value and applying the operation from left to right. The accumulator initial, which will be a string, the operation takes what's so T is also a string. Yeah, I assume it is the accumulated value. All right, let's see if we can do this. So initial is here. Expected two arguments. Here. IntelliJ is helping me again. Help me out, IntelliJ. Yes, here we go. Let's see. I'm just going to maybe this may be at odds with build string, but let's see. It may be, so it could be that build string is doing it one way with a loop, and the fold is another way to do it. Let's find out. This is why we have tests. So essentially what I want to do is say, something like that. Let's see if this works. Did not work. It didn't. Did not work. It took the first middle name and stopped. Duh. Userman, you still there? You can see if this is an accept acceptable beginning of an approach to try moving away from build string. Not necessarily moving away from it, just experimenting. Trying a fold instead. And I'm doing something wrong. So I expected, here, let me reformat this so we can sort of see. I expected it to take all the middle names and sort of iterate over them, starting from empty string and then accumulating this. And the conundrum is that it successfully took the first middle name and stopped. Why didn't it take each element? For element in this, for element in this. Do the operation. Oh. No. I'm still lost. Oh, it passed. It was the return that was throwing me off. Okay, so I had a return in the Lambda. What I needed to do instead was pull this out. So here's an alternative method. All right, I want to compare the two. Actually, I don't need to do this. I should be able to revert from here. Oh, I can just do it here. All right, so here's the string builder method. Yeah, I was messing up. Okay, so we have two different approaches. One is stylistic. They're identical. I should be able to take this one and have test pass. Yeah, so the return popped all the way out instead of me thinking that it was inside of the Lambda itself. So this one works, and we know, or I believe that this one also works. Okay, so it's a question of whichever people like. Advantage of build string. Yeah. So build string is nice because it's very readable. But for folks who like to say, get rid of the for loop, we don't need no stinking for loops. We can say this. I wonder if there's any ways to make this less wordy up here. Fold also introduces unneeded string copy. So you saying that when you're working with strings, at least, fold is great as a generalized functional mathematical thing, but that build string is more efficient. Perhaps because of the not making so many copies of things. This is very interesting. Okay, so that makes sense. Very cool. All right. Thank you both. Learning, learning, learning. Yeah. Okay. What you got? Inbuilt string. For each. Lovely. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Let's do this. Haha. Sweet. For each. Append. Now you really mean append it? Is that? Ah! So that should be able to replace this. Oh, it failed. Hang on. It could be that I'm totally messed things up. Let me get back to green. Try again. All right. Let's initialize. Right. Okay, let me try again. Try this again. Here we go. So, in the string builder, I'll say for each and append the initialize of it, I think. That should replace that. Sweet! This is very cool. So now, even though it's, structurally the same thing, now I see the append is sort of called from inside this other lambda. This is really cool. So if I say join, I want to join to string. What is this? Creates a string from all the elements separated using, so this is like to be able to say stick, here, it's got the default for me, the separator, comma, space. Very cool. Oh. Nice, though. I like it. Very nice. I'm going to commit this. And I'm really liking how we're getting multiple lines. This isn't, code golf where we're trying to get where fewer lines is better. But it is, as long as the thing still expresses what you want it to express without, becoming horribly garbled. So very shrunk down. This is super educational. Kotlin is becoming more fun. Move that class altogether. Yeah. It could be a standalone because there are no properties. Totally could be. Makes sense. Those are sort of the decisions that you have to make. Let's get back to tests. Where are we? Okay. Let's do another test. Append suffixes to the end. Martin Luther King Jr. should become King Martin L. Jr. So we need to take the suffix off and sort of piece it back together at the end. So this fails. To do with suffix. It's like if I follow this, then I really want suffix to go there. And this should continue to pass everything else except for the one test. Okay. And here we're splitting on a comma. I'm wondering, oh, hang on, missed what you said. So braces are only after the dollar, are only required if you're accessing something on the inside. Okay. In fact, let me do this real quick. Because I imagine I can get rid of them from here as well. Let me just reset it. I'm going to experiment a little here. Get back to where I was. All right. I kind of want to see. So I understand that I need them in this case because it is split name dot and actually calling something. Now, can I get rid of them here or not? And it looks like not, judging from the error there. Okay, cool. So I should be able to say suffix like that. And that should be an empty string. Love IntelliJ. All right. So this works. So this is sort of a prefactoring. If that's even a word. And now I should be able to bring this test back into play, watch it fail. And now I need to figure out how to stick in here. So I think I need to split. Before splitting by spaces, I need to split off the comma first. So lop that off and then deal with the rest. So but I do want to trim. This might be redundant, but let's just see where it goes. If I split by comma, and this becomes essentially, it's a different kind of split. Naming, right? It's like prefix and suffix split versus space split. I'm starting to spin in circles here. There. Maybe this continues to pass everything except the one test. Good. Again, remember, it can be ugly. That's okay. We can clean it up once it's green. So suffix split. Some of this looks wrong, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's easy to get distracted here. Suffix split. So suffix split last is a suffix. Will this work? Except it's missing the comma. Ooh, look at how ugly that got. Failed all sorts of stuff. No good. All right, we've got suffix split. How do people stream all day? Like, my brain is full. And I need a break. Let me, I think I'm going to take a break so that I can continue to code, because that's how it work. I work on a Pomodoro, and I haven't done a single Pomodoro, and I don't know how long I've been going here. Break time is over. Back on your heads. It's an old joke. Context. We're trying to deal with prefixes and suffixes. And, let me just do a print line so I can see what's inside of here. Yeah, so we've got Martin Luther King. Come on. Whoa, look at how it adds. Seems to add a space. Well, I presume this is the separator. Oh, there is a space after June. So here's one thing I'm learning. I'm splitting on the comma, which makes two strings. The first one here. Whoop. That's not the input. Splitting on the comma, which makes two strings. The first there, and the second from the comma afterwards. And so this extra space shows up there. So that's something I have to watch for. In fact, I should be able to slap it on the end as is, if there is one. Just by adding a comma onto it. And then doing the rest of the stuff. So let's go back here and let me think about this. If I say the suffix is either empty, I kind of want to say if I keep forgetting. If let it complete it for me. What's take if? A predicate. Must be a selector of some kind. If null. Huh. More to learn. If suffix split count is greater than 1, then suffix will be something like that. Well, let's see if it works. Hey! 5-minute break. Cleared my head. This is one of my the best things I've learned about coding. We're not machines. We need liquid. Well, machines need liquid. We need brakes. So that worked. Well, I better check that in. And is there anything I want to clean up? Suffix split, split name. The names are starting to get a little clunky. This itself is, well, let me think. Okay. So reading now, looking for things to clean up Refactor, make it a bit more expressive. Trimmed name, split. Oh, that can be, this can be inlined now. Cool. And suffix. I wish I knew the proper names of these parts. Suffix split. Might be okay. Space split. Suffix could be a function too, like middle initials. Oh, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Kaio. Right. Thank you. All right, so I extracted that. This I'm going to inline. This I can inline. And it did the right thing. That's better. That is better. I think that's good enough to move on for now. Oop. No, that's fine. Let's get back to there's one last test. Okay, here we go. We should say, I've got commas. I should just throw up an exception. Now, what to do? So what I want to say is if we suffix split, and if suffix split count is greater than 2, that I should throw an exception. Now I don't know how to do that. Throw. And it's going to be an illegal argument exception. So can I do this? Oops. Blah, blah isn't nice. Hey, it passed. Oh my gosh. I see the squiggly suggestion. This is so nice. So IntelliJ is not only giving me suggestions when I ask for them by saying, show me an intention of something like this, but it's saying, replace with require call, and I have no idea what that is. It's giving me this yellow suggestion to require. What did it just do? Whoa. Look at this. This is cool. Ah! Require throws an illegal argument exception, which is what I happen to be using, with the result of calling a lazy message thing. So the message can be anything. I suppose it's evaluated at that point, so you can throw in variables that aren't evaluated until it needs it. That's what I presume. So we can make this nicer. Even though this isn't tested, I can say can't handle more than 1 comma. Something like that. Oh, this is great. And I'm going to say this is test. Yeah, it's test 9. There are 9 tests in this exercise. Oh, this is sweet. Suffix split, or suffixes, or name parts. I don't know about the naming. That's where anyone watching me is just like, John's sitting there frozen. If this were on Zoom, we'd be like, John, are you locked up? I'm like, no, I'm just thinking. This is what you get for getting somebody who's an introvert. I process words before I say them. At least I try to. If I don't, I say, Suffix split, name trim split on a comma. Require the suffix split count to be less than or equal to 2 with this message, so explaining what went wrong. Split name, maybe name parts, middle initial. I'm going to do some renaming here. First name, last name, name parts, name. If I can get these to read well, say name first, name last, that might read well. Look at that. Whoops. Oh, name is clashing with this. I'm shadowing it. So if I say that, name parts last, name parts first, middle initials, name parts. This is going to be renaming. And then if I say sort of this is prefix suffix to identify the things I need. If I say prefix suffix count, this is reading better. Prefix suffix for the 2 parts that I expect if there are 2 parts. Oh, I should also rename these parts. There, this is reading better. Suffix now says if prefix suffix count is greater than 1. Let me flip this around, I think. Well, one thing at a time. Run tests. pass, check this into the renaming thing, and I'm going to reverse this. Let me say if the count is equal to 1, I think this reads better to flip that around, so that we end up with the most common case first, which is no suffixes, and otherwise take prefix suffix last, meaning suffix, with a comma. This is looking good. All right, I'm going to do this just to see what Userman was telling me about extensions. What? I have no idea what it just did. Revert. Probably better to do it on a string or something like that. All right. I think that I may be done with this exercise. Prefix suffix equals name. I'm just going to read it to see if it reads. And let's remove the hints so that shrinks down. All right. Normalize takes a name, which is a string, and returns a string where it says prefix suffix is the name trimmed and split by the comma. We require prefix suffix count to be less than or equal to 2, otherwise we complain. Then we say name parts is going to be the prefix suffix first, meaning the prefix part, split by space, delimiter. If the name parts count is 1, return the name, just blah. So you don't even get a suffix if you don't have that. So that could be something. If somebody's like Bono Jr., that would be a case where we have a suffix, but only one name. That would, unless we have a test that requires that, it stays put because it works. It passes all the tests with the minimal code. Otherwise, we say return the name parts last, comma, space, name parts first, and then middle initials and the suffix. Where we have all these other helper methods. Let's make this, there we go. All very short. This is the longest helper we have, and it's also short. In fact, might be I was going to say I could join them like that, but then I end up with sort of this that I don't like. Close brace, close brace. I think it's clearer to have them on separate lines like that. Let's look at each part. Suffix takes a list of strings and says if prefix suffix count is 1, you get nothing. Otherwise, add a comma and return the last part. Middle initials says take the middle names equals the name parts where we drop 1 from the first and then we drop 1 from the last. So we drop off the first name and last name, and then we build string using middle names. For each middle name, append the initialized type. Initialized version of it. I learned what it is. Initialize says the dot is if the length of the name is greater than 1, then you get a dot. Otherwise, dot is really empty. And we get the first character of the name, dot, as the initialized version of the name. Kind of like initialized. Alrighty. It's going to go back into renaming. I think I'm done. Thank you if anyone's still around. Thanks especially to Userman2. One makes me wonder who Userman1 is. And Kaio for joining in and helping me out and guiding me. This is a really neat experiment for me. My first ever live stream. It helped me see that I could learn by having just whoever's around give their input and ideas and suggestions, and given me other things to read up on, like this. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. I'm going to call it quits and probably use this forum to do more experiments, to make things complete with errors and mistakes so that people can see them and then maybe slice them down into something a little better for public consumption. Also a good chance for me to be able to do Q&A, I think, with folks, to offer guidance and talk together about all things testing. Thank you so much. This is John Reed out of here.